This is Deadly Sin number 2 in our Poker Sin series, Denial. I'm Terry Wood from PokerRailbird.com, and today we're tackling one of the most dangerous mental leaks in poker because you don't even realize it's happening. There's no faster way to destroy your poker game than lying to yourself. Whether it's pretending your bluff almost worked, ignoring that you're outmatched at the table, or convincing yourself you're just running bad, denial is the disease and the losses are the symptom. Denial in poker doesn't show up in the stats. It shows up in the stories you tell yourself to avoid facing the truth. Because until you stop misleading yourself, you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over. You'll never improve. And you'll keep leaking chips to players who already learned this lesson the hard way. Let's take a look at what denial in poker really looks like. Denial in poker is the silent saboteur. It's what happens when we refuse to accept the truth about a hand, a player, a session, or even ourselves. We tell ourselves that bet wasn't that bad, that we weren't tilted, that we didn't chase, that this game isn't too tough. But underneath all that rationalizing is one simple fact: we know better. This is the second most destructive sin in poker because it targets the foundation of your decision-making. When you're in denial, you're not thinking clearly. You're protecting your ego instead of protecting your stack. Denial is not just one thing. It's not a single moment or excuse. It's when you win, it's because of your skillful play, but when you lose, it's just bad luck. It's a system of internal blind spots that quietly sabotage your game and your growth. In poker, there are 5 common predominant phases of denial, and they often work together. Let's take a look. Number 1, knowledge denial. This is the root of all others. It's the refusal to learn what you need to know to succeed, or worse yet, to believe that you know all there is to know about poker. You avoid studying hand ranges. You skip the math. You never question your habits. Instead of growing, you cling to, feel, and anecdote. But here's the real kicker. Many players don't just lack knowledge, they deny its importance altogether. They convince themselves that instincts, reads, or playing the player is enough to win long term. It's not. Number 2, emotional denial. This one shows up when you refuse to admit tilt is affecting you, or possibly when you have other issues on your mind and aren't fully concentrating on poker. You just lost 2 big pots, so now you decide you will put in a big raise with ace-9 offsuit from under the gun, while maintaining to yourself that you aren't on tilt. That's not logic. That's emotion pretending to be strategy. And the longer you deny it, the worse the damage. Number 3, skill level denial. You're playing against stronger players, but you convince yourself you belong. You chalk up losses to bad luck, not bad decisions. You overestimate your edge and underestimate theirs. This denial keeps you stuck in games where you're outclassed, outmatched, and outplayed, which, as we said in the beginning, brings us right back to knowledge denial. Number 4, table difficulty denial. You sit in a tough lineup and convince yourself it's normal. But deep down, you know better. The game is tight, aggressive, and full of pros. You're not table selecting, you're table suffering. Sometimes denial means staying in a game you shouldn't be in. Knowing when you're outmatched is not a weakness. It's a strength. Number 5, fatigue and distraction denial. You're tired. Your mind is elsewhere. But instead of walking away, you play another hour. Then another. Distraction denial shows up in half-baked decisions and sloppy plays. The worst part? You won't even realize how poorly you played until it's too late. These 5 forms of denial are silent killers. They don't shout. They whisper. And if you're not careful, they become your normal. So why do we deny reality, even when it costs us? Here's the quick psychology behind it. It's not because we're stupid. It's because our brains are wired to protect us, even if that means lying to ourselves. Cognitive dissonance. We hate holding 2 conflicting ideas at once. Like, I'm a good player versus, I just made a terrible decision. So we twist reality to relieve the tension. It wasn't bad play, it was bad luck. Defense mechanism. Denial is the brain's first line of emotional defense. If the truth threatens your ego, your mind shields you by rejecting it altogether. Self-serving bias. We credit wins to our skill, but blame losses on bad luck. It feels better, but it blocks real growth. The ostrich effect. Named after the myth that ostriches bury their heads in the sand, people often avoid information that challenges their beliefs, even when it matters most. Motivated reasoning. Sometimes we don't seek truth, we seek comfort. We filter facts to reach desired conclusions rather than accurate ones. And in poker, that's how reality slowly slips away. When you understand why denial happens, you're one step closer to defeating it. Denial isn't harmless. It's not just a mindset problem. It's a results problem. And here's what it costs you. Every time you let it slide, denial blocks growth. You can't fix what you won't admit. Denial puts up a wall between where you are and where you need to go. If you're losing and blame bad luck instead of bad decisions, you'll never identify what needs to change. If you convince yourself your reads are infallible or your strategy is flawless, you'll miss every opportunity to improve. Progress starts with brutal honesty, and denial is the enemy of honesty. Denial leads to poor game selection. The ego says, I can beat anyone. The win rate says otherwise. Poker is a game of edge, and if you consistently sit in games you can't beat, whether due to pride or blindness, you'll never realize your potential. Denial convinces you that table selection is for cowards, when in reality, it's the most strategic move you can make. The best players hunt value. The worst ones deny they need to. Denial destroys bankroll discipline. Denial in poker often masquerades as giving it one more shot or playing through it. But in reality, it's the quiet justification for bad bankroll management. You tell yourself the downswing isn't real, the buy-in isn't too much, or you're due for a heater. All of it sounds logical when you're tilted, but it's just denial wearing a different hat. Denial makes data meaningless. Poker is a game of patterns, yours and your opponent's. But if you're constantly rewriting the narrative to protect your ego, you'll never see the real picture. You'll overlook red flags, misread player types, and ignore statistical evidence. Denial in poker turns your powers of observation into tools of self-deception. Denial doesn't just slow down your progress, it reroutes your entire career into a dead end. The sooner you remove it, the clearer your decisions become, and the faster your win rate improves. So what do you do about it? How do you break the habit of denial, especially when it hides in plain sight? Here's the 5-step framework. Not quick fixes, but real tools. 1. Study the math. Denial hates hard numbers. Dig into the fundamentals, hand odds, pot odds, fold equity, combinatorics. Every time you understand the math behind a hand, you chip away at your excuses. 2. Understand the psychology. You're not just playing cards, you're managing cognition. Books like Mistakes Were Made, but Not by Me, and The Elephant in the Brain expose the blind spots we all have. Read them. They'll hit you harder than any bad beat. 3. Create real-time checkpoints. During a session, ask yourself, what am I pretending not to notice right now? Build a habit of mid-session honesty. The sooner you catch the slide, the easier it is to stop. 4. Join a study group. Surround yourself with players who will call you out. Accountability is the fastest way to reality, and someone else's clarity might expose your fog. 5. Keep a poker journal. Write it down. What happened? What you thought? What you missed? It's your mirror. And over time, it becomes your breakthrough. You don't have to be perfect. But if you're not honest, you'll never be great. Denial doesn't just cloud your thinking, it lies to you. It whispers that you're better than the results, that variance is the only problem, that your reads are perfect and your opponents are lucky. And the longer you believe it, the more it costs you. In confidence, in bankroll, in growth. Denying reality in poker is the second most destructive sin for a reason. It prevents correction. It stops you from evolving. And if you won't evolve, poker will leave you behind. So ask yourself, are you calling it variance when it's really bad play? Are you saying he always has it because you're scared to bet? Are you showing up tired, distracted, tilted, and calling it discipline? There's no shame in facing the truth. In fact, it's the only way out of the fog. The moment you stop denying reality is the moment your game starts to transform. And that's the moment you stop losing for the wrong reasons and start winning for the right ones. Want to go deeper? Read the full article. The second deadliest sin in poker. Denying reality, the moment you stop facing the truth is the moment you start losing. Available now at PokerAilbird.com. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching. This is Terry Wood from PokerAilbird.com, and we'll see you at the tables.